My beloved child, listen closely, because this moment is not ordinary. You did not arrive here by chance, and these words are not reaching you by accident. There is a reason your heart felt a pull, a nudge, a quiet urgency to open this before midnight. Time is moving, the hours are thinning, and yet I am not rushing you. I am calling you. I am calling you because something is aligning, something is stirring, something long prepared is now standing at the threshold of your life. I see the clock you keep watching. I feel the weight in your chest as the day fades and the night deepens. You have wondered if anything would change, if today would end like so many others, with questions unanswered and prayers still waiting. But hear me now, my beloved child. Midnight is not just an ending. Midnight is a meeting place. It is where what we meet what will be. It is where silence breaks and new commands are released. I know how many times you have whispered my name when no one else could hear you. I know the private battles you never explained, the hopes you guarded because disappointment hurt too much. You told yourself not to expect too much, not to believe too boldly, not to hope too loudly. Yet here you are. And that tells me everything. Your spirit still listens. Your heart still responds. And I honor that. This message is not wrapped in fear, and it is not driven by pressure. I do not speak to you to alarm you, but to awaken you. When I say, open this before midnight, I am not threatening what you will lose. I am revealing what is ready. There are moments I appoint, moments when heaven leans close, moments when one word, received at the right time, shifts the direction of a soul. This is one of those moments. Do not let doubt tell you that you are too late, too slow, or too broken for what I am doing. Do not let your past speak louder than my voice. I am not measuring you by yesterday's failures or last season's delays. I am speaking to who you are right now, in this breath, in this hour. And I am telling you that you are seen, you are held, and you are exactly where you need to be. Before this night turns, before the numbers on the clock change, I want you to understand something deep within your spirit. I am not distant from your waiting. I am present in it. I am not ignoring your prayers. I have been shaping you through them. What feels like suspense has been preparation. What felt like silence has been alignment. So stay with me. Let your heart be still enough to hear. Let your soul lean in instead of pulling back. You are standing at a doorway of understanding, peace, and release. And as this night continues, I will speak with clarity, with gentleness, and with power. My beloved child, this is only the beginning. My beloved child, I want you to understand why your spirit found its way here tonight. You may think it was curiosity, restlessness, or simply scrolling through moments of quiet. But I know the deeper reason. I guided you here because your soul has been asking questions your mouth could not fully form. There has been a gentle ache within you, a sense that something is unfinished, unresolved, waiting to be answered. I heard that ache long before you recognized it. There are nights when the world grows quiet and your thoughts grow loud. Nights when distractions fall away and what you have been carrying finally rises to the surface. I saw you in those moments, lying awake, staring into darkness, wondering if your prayers were drifting into empty space. You asked me silently, did you hear me? Did I wait too long? Did I miss something? And even when you tried to silence those questions, they lingered in your heart. I want you to know this clearly. I have never stopped listening. Not once. Every sigh, every unspoken plea, every tear you wiped away before anyone could see, it all reached me. You were not ignored, and you were not forgotten. The reason you are here now is because your spirit is still sensitive to my voice. even after disappointment tried to harden it. You may feel tired from hoping, tired from starting over in your mind again and again, tired from telling yourself to be patient while your heart whispered that time was running out. But hear me, my beloved child. Patience does not mean absence, and waiting does not mean denial. Sometimes waiting is the space where I prepare you to recognize what is already moving toward you. I know you have replayed certain moments, wondering if one decision changed everything, if one mistake delayed your future. You have measured your life against invisible deadlines and felt the quiet pressure of should have and by now. That pressure did not come from me. I do not rush my children with fear. I lead them with love. And love brought you here, to hear what your spirit has been ready to receive. Tonight is not about forcing answers or demanding signs. It is about alignment. It is about your heart coming back into agreement with truth instead of fear. When you arrived here, something within you said, "Stay." That was not weakness. That was discernment. That was your inner self recognizing a safe place to rest and listen. I also know there is a part of you that is cautious. You have been hopeful before, and it hurt. So you learned to protect yourself by lowering expectations. You learned to say, "It is what it is," instead of daring to believe for more. I do not condemn you for that. I understand it. But I am gently inviting you to loosen that grip tonight, not to set yourself up for pain, but to make room for peace. You are not here because you are desperate. You are here because you are ready. Ready to hear me remind you who you are. Ready to be reassured that your story is not stalled, and your life is not off track. Ready to receive clarity where confusion once lived. Ready to breathe again without the weight of unanswered questions pressing on your chest. As this message continues, do not listen with anxiety, wondering what will happen next. Listen with trust. Let your shoulders relax. Let your thoughts slow down. You do not need to solve anything right now. You do not need to make promises or decisions in this moment. All I ask is that you remain open. I brought you here because I love you too much to leave you drowning in uncertainty. I brought you here because there are things I want to remind you of, truths that steady the heart and calm the mind. And as we continue, you will begin to feel something shift. Not loudly, not dramatically, but gently, like a door unlocking from the inside. My beloved child, there is power in my name that you have not fully understood, not because you lacked faith, but because you were taught to whisper when I called you to stand. My name was never meant to be a last resort spoken in fear. It was given to you as authority spoken in trust. When you speak my name with a believing heart, you are not begging heaven to notice you. You are agreeing with what heaven has already decided. I want you to hear this deeply. My name carries presence. My name carries alignment. My name carries permission. When you speak it over your life, you are not trying to convince me to move. You are positioning yourself to receive what is already moving toward you. Many of the delays you felt were not refusals. They were moments where your heart was still learning how to agree with my voice instead of your circumstances. You have spoken my name in moments of fear, and I held you. You have spoken my name through tears, and I comforted you. But tonight, I am inviting you to speak my name from a place of quiet confidence. Not striving, not proving, simply trusting. There is a difference between crying out and standing firm. Both are heard, but one brings rest. When I say, I command you in my name, understand that this command is not harsh, and it is not heavy. It is precise. It is loving. It is intentional. Commands spoken in my name are not about control, they are about release. Release from fear. Release from delay. Release from the lie that you are powerless in your own story. I know you have watched others speak boldly and wondered why it felt easier for them. I know you questioned whether your voice mattered, whether your prayers carried weight. Let me settle that now. Heaven responds to sincerity, not volume. Heaven moves with agreement, not performance. When you align your heart with my truth and speak my name, you are not late to the conversation. You are right on time. There is something else I want you to recognize. You are not listening to these words alone. There are countless hearts leaning in at this very moment, each carrying their own silent battles, each longing for reassurance. And as you listen, as you receive, you are part of something larger than yourself. When you choose to engage with this message, when you like it, share it, subscribe, and yes, when you hype this video, you are not promoting content. You are helping my voice reach a soul that feels unseen. Your simple action becomes a bridge for someone else's breakthrough. Do not underestimate how I use small acts of obedience. A single click can carry comfort farther than you imagine. A moment of agreement can echo into someone else's midnight. So if these words are settling your spirit, if they are bringing peace to your heart, let that response move through you. Engage with this message. Hype it. Share it. Allow it to travel where you cannot go, and trust me to meet those who need it. Now, as I continue speaking to you, I want your heart to remain open and steady. Do not rush ahead, wondering what will open or when. Stay present. Stay receptive. This is not about chasing outcomes. It is about receiving truth. My name is not a formula. It is a relationship. And tonight, that relationship is deepening. Before we move further, I want to speak directly to those of you who feel stirred to help carry this message beyond yourselves. My beloved child, when I place a stirring in your heart to support this work, understand that it is not about sustaining a channel. It is about sustaining light. As you sow into this message through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link placed in the description and shown through the QR code, you are planting seed into souls you may never meet. I say to you now, as I once declared, that what you release will return pressed down, shaken together, and overflowing. I am inviting you, yes, you, to become a river, not a reservoir. Act now. Move in obedience. Bless this mission, and I will bless your hands, your home, and your future for what you chose to release in faith. We are only beginning to unfold what my name will open for you. My beloved child, I want to speak to you about this hour you are standing in, this quiet stretch of time that so many overlook. Midnight has always carried a weight beyond the ticking of a clock. It is not merely a division between days. It is a threshold. It is the moment when the old loosens its grip and the new waits just beyond your sight. And I know you feel it, even if you cannot fully explain it. There have been moments in your life when everything felt darkest right before something changed. You did not recognize it at the time. You only felt the heaviness, the silence, the sense that nothing was moving. But now, looking back, you can see how those moments were not endings. They were crossings. Midnight has always been the space where I move quietly, where I work without spectacle, where transformation begins beneath the surface. I know you have associated the night with uncertainty, with overthinking, with questions that seem louder when the world sleeps. But hear me gently, darkness does not scare me. Silence does not limit me. I often choose these moments because your heart is more honest here. Your defenses are lower. Your need is clearer. And your spirit is more willing to listen. You may have wondered why change did not come at noon, when everything was bright and visible. Light did not arrive when you felt strong and confident. But I do not wait for perfect conditions. I enter when you are real. I move when you are open. Midnight is where striving ends and surrender begins, even if you did not realize you were surrendering. There are stories woven through time where freedom was released at midnight, where chains fell, where psalms were sung in the dark and answers followed. These were not coincidences. They were reminders. Reminders that what feels like delay is often divine timing. Reminders that I do not need daylight to do my work. Reminders that hope is not dependent on circumstances. Tonight, I am not asking you to manufacture faith. I am asking you to notice what is already stirring within you. Then quiet awareness, that sense that something is shifting, even if nothing around you has changed yet. That is not imagination. That is recognition. Your spirit knows when it is standing on sacred ground, even if your mind is still catching up. You have spent time trying to interpret signs, to decode what you should do next, to plan your way forward. For now, release that need. This moment is not about direction. It is about reassurance. I want you to know that the timing of your life has not slipped out of my hands. The clock has not beaten me. The night has not stolen your future. Midnight does not mean you are behind. It means you are close. Close to clarity. Close to release. Close to understanding why things unfolded the way they did. And even if that understanding does not come all at once, peace can come first. Peace that steadies you. Peace that tells you it is safe to breathe again. I see the parts of you that grew weary of waiting. The parts that stopped expecting surprises and settled into endurance. I do not shame you for that. Endurance kept you alive. But now, I am inviting you to lift your eyes again, not in strain, but in trust. Trust that I am still writing. Trust that nothing meaningful hath been lost. Trust that this hour is not empty. As the night deepens, I want you to let go of the fear that nothing will change. Fear speaks loudly at midnight, but it does not speak truth. Truth speaks softly. Truth says that what I promise, I fulfill. Truth says that your story is still unfolding. Truth says that what opens next will make sense of what once confused you. Do not rush this moment. Do not rush yourself. Let my words settle into the quiet spaces of your heart. Let them replace the noise you have carried for too long. You do not need to force belief. You only need to remain present. Midnight is not working against you, my beloved child. It is working for you. And as we continue, you will begin to see that this hour was not meant to be feared. It was meant to be honored. My beloved child, I know there are doors in your memory that feel sealed shut. Doors you knocked on with hope, only to walk away feeling rejected. Doors you prayed over, waited before, and finally stopped expecting to open. Some of them closed so quietly that you wondered if they ever mattered at all. Others slammed with such force that the sound still echoes inside you. I want to speak to you about those doors tonight, not to reopen old wounds, but to heal the meaning you attach to them. You told yourself that a closed door meant failure, that it meant you misunderstood me, or that you asked for too much, or that you simply were not chosen. Those conclusions weighed on you more than you realized. They shaped how you prayed. They shaped what you expected. They taught you to approach life with caution instead of confidence. But hear me now, gently and clearly. A closed door has never been the same as a denied promise. Some doors were not meant to open because they would have trapped you in something smaller than what I was preparing. Some doors closed because timing had not yet caught up with purpose. And some doors closed because you were growing, even when it felt like nothing was moving. I did not close doors to punish you. I closed them to protect you, to redirect you, to keep you aligned with what would truly give you life. I know it did not feel like protection. It felt like loss. It felt like disappointment wrapped in silence. It felt like watching others walk through opportunities while you stood still, trying to understand what you did wrong. What you did not do something wrong. You were being led, even when the path did not look like movement. You may have stopped knocking because you were tired of hoping. You may have said, "If it happens, it happens," as a way to guard your heart. I understand that. But do not confuse your coping with my conclusion. Just because you stopped expecting does not mean I stopped working. Just because a door stayed shut longer than you wanted does not mean it was sealed forever. There are doors that were paused, not locked. Doors waiting for alignment, not abandonment. Doors that required you to become someone new before you could walk through them without losing yourself. And in the waiting, you grew stronger, wiser, deeper than you realized. You learned discernment. You learned resilience. You learned how to listen. None of that was wasted. I want you to release the shame you attach to delay. Release the story that says, "If it were meant for me, it would have happened by now." That is not my voice. My timing is not governed by pressure or comparison. I work beyond what you can measure, and I see beyond what you can imagine. Some doors you thought were answers were actually distractions. Some opportunities you longed for would have cost you your peace. I spared you from paths that looked good but would have drained you. One day, you will look back with clarity and gratitude, not regret. And even now, though you may not fully see it, I am preparing you to understand. There is something important I want you to hold on to. No door that belongs to you can remain closed forever. If it aligns with my purpose for your life, it will open at the right moment, in the right way, without forcing, without striving, without breaking you. And when it opens, it will feel like confirmation, not confusion. Do not stand in front of old doors asking why they did not open. Turn your heart toward me instead. I am not asking you to relive disappointment. I am asking you to trust that I am leading you forward, not backward. What lies ahead will not require you to beg. It will invite you to walk in with peace. My beloved child, the doors that matter most are not behind you. They are before you. And they are opening in ways you could not have predicted, but will recognize when the time comes. Stay with me. The story is not finished. My beloved child, there are tears you never explained to anyone. Tears that fell in silence, quickly wiped away so no one would ask questions you did not have the strength to answer. You learned how to smile through conversations while your heart carried a quiet ache. You became skilled at saying "I'm fine" even when your spirit felt heavy. I have seen every one of those moments, and I want you to know that none of them were invisible to me. I was there when you cried in places no one else could see, behind closed doors, late at night, in moments when the weight of everything you carried finally overflowed. I heard the prayers that were not neatly spoken, the ones that came out as sighs and broken sentences. You did not need the right words. Your tears spoke clearly enough. They told me that you were tired, that you were trying, and that you still cared, even when hope felt fragile. There were times you wondered if crying meant you were weak. You questioned whether your faith was failing because you could not hold everything together. But hear me gently, your tears have never offended me. They have never disappointed me. They have always drawn me closer. The heart that still feels deeply is not broken. It is alive. I know you tried to be strong for others. You carried responsibilities, expectations, and roles that did not leave much room for vulnerability. You told yourself that if you just kept moving, the pain would eventually quiet down. And sometimes it did, but only enough to rest beneath the surface. I saw how you carried it anyway. I saw how you showed up even when your heart felt bruised. You may have wondered why I did not stop the pain sooner, why I allowed certain moments to linger longer than you wanted. I understand that question. But my presence was never absent, even when relief was delayed. I was teaching you something deeper than escape. I was teaching you that you are not alone in your sorrow, and that sorrow does not have the final word. There are tears that cleanse and tears that release what words cannot. Some of the tears you shed were not signs of defeat. They were signs of healing beginning. You were letting go of pressure you had carried for too long. You were allowing yourself to be honest, even if only with me. And honesty is where restoration begins. I want you to know this tonight. You do not have to hold everything together anymore. You do not have to prove how resilient you are. You do not have to earn comfort by enduring pain quietly. Come to me as you are, not as you think you should be. I am not asking you to be strong right now. I am offering to be strength for you. There are wounds in your heart that you learn to live around instead of heal. You adjusted. You adapted. You told yourself that this was just how things were now. But I am gently reminding you that survival is not the same as wholeness. And wholeness is still possible for you. Even now. Even after everything. I am not rushing your healing. I am not minimizing what hurt you. I am inviting you to rest in the truth that you are safe to feel, safe to release, safe to be held. My love does not demand that you move on quickly. It meets you where you are and walks with you forward. Let your tears fall if they need to. Let your breath slow. Let your shoulders drop. You are not being evaluated. You are being embraced. I am not counting how long it takes you to heal. I am staying with you through it. My beloved child, every tear you thought went unnoticed was seen. Every pain you carried alone was shared. And tonight, I am reminding you that you do not have to carry it alone anymore. I am here. I have always been here. And I will not leave you now. My beloved child, I want to gently correct something your heart may have misunderstood for a long time. You have often thought you were merely waiting, standing still while life moved forward without you. You saw waiting as emptiness, as delay, as time slipping through your fingers. But from where I stand, you were never idle. You were being prepared with intention, with precision, and with care far deeper than you could see in the moment. Waiting felt heavy because you expected movement to look obvious. You thought progress would arrive as instant answers, visible breakthroughs, or clear direction. And when those things did not appear, you assumed nothing was happening. But preparation rarely announces itself. It works quietly, shaping your inner world before it changes your outer one. While you felt paused, I was working deeply within you. I was teaching you how to listen instead of rush, how to discern instead of react, how to sit with uncertainty without letting it steal your peace. These lessons cannot be rushed without costing you later. What you learn slowly, you learn thoroughly, and that depth will protect you in ways speed never could. There were moments when you asked me to hurry, to resolve things quickly so the discomfort would end. I understand that longing, waiting stretches the heart. It exposes impatience, fear, and vulnerability. But had I given you everything you asked for when you first asked, it would have overwhelmed you. You would have stepped into blessing without the inner strength to sustain it. I was not delaying your life. I was preserving it. Every quiet choice you made mattered. Every time you chose kindness when bitterness felt easier, preparation was happening. Every time you kept your integrity when no one was watching, preparation was happening. Every time you rested instead of forcing yourself forward in exhaustion, preparation was happening. These were not small things. They were foundational. You often measured your growth by comparing yourself to others. You watched them move ahead, receive opportunities, celebrate milestones, while you felt unseen. And comparison made waiting feel like failure. But preparation is never one size fits all. I shape each journey according to the calling, the capacity, and the future I have placed within you. What someone else received quickly may have cost them peace or clarity. What you are receiving slowly is being anchored deeply. I want you to hear this clearly, because it matters. Preparation does not mean you were lacking. You were never almost ready. You were always worthy. Preparation was not about correcting something broken in you. It was about strengthening what was already good. It was about expanding your ability to carry responsibility, blessing, and influence without losing yourself. You have grown wiser than you realize. Calmer, more discerning, less reactive, more grounded. These changes may not have been celebrated, but they were essential. You are not the same person you were when you first started waiting, and that difference will soon make sense to you. When what you have been waiting for begins to open, it will not feel foreign. It will feel familiar. It will feel like stepping into something you somehow already know how to carry. That is how preparation works. It removes shock. It replaces fear with steadiness. It allows you to move forward without scrambling to become someone new at the last minute. Do not look back at your waiting with resentment. Look at it with understanding. It shaped you. It protected you. It taught you endurance without hardening your heart. It taught you patience without robbing you of hope. Those lessons will stay with you long after the season shifts. And hear this, my beloved child. Preparation has a purpose, and purpose always leads somewhere. Seasons do change. What had been forming beneath the surface does not remain hidden forever. The patience you cultivated will soon feel like peace. The wisdom you gained will become clarity. The strength you built will become confidence. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not stalled. You are prepared. And very soon, you will understand why this season unfolded exactly the way it did. My beloved child, I want to speak to you about the moments when nothing seemed to happen, when there was no announcement, no confirmation, no visible sign that anything was changing at all. Those moments tested you the most. You learned to associate movement with noise, with sudden breakthroughs, with dramatic shifts. And when none of that came, you assumed I was still, distant, or waiting on something else. But hear me now. Some of my most important work happens quietly. Heaven does not always move with thunder. Often, it moves like a whisper, like a gentle adjustment that only your spirit notices before your circumstances do. While you were looking for something obvious, I was rearranging what could not be seen. I was softening resistance. I was aligning people, timing, and outcomes. I was working in places your eyes could not reach. You may remember seasons where everything felt the same on the surface. The same routine. The same conversations. The same unanswered questions. But beneath that sameness, something was shifting. Your reactions changed. Your tolerance for chaos lessened. Your desire for peace grew stronger. These were signs of movement, not stagnation. I know how easily the mind fills silence with fear. When nothing changes outwardly, doubt begins to speak. It says, nothing is happening, or you are being overlooked, or if something were really coming, you would know by now. But those thoughts do not come from me. Silence is not absence. Quiet is not neglect. Stillness is often the space where alignment completes itself. There are adjustments that cannot be rushed or revealed too early. If I showed you everything I was doing at once, it would overwhelm you. You would try to control it, analyze it, or hurry it. So I work gently, step by step, letting peace lead instead of pressure. I allow change to take root before it bears fruit. Think about how growth happens in nature. Seeds do not announce themselves when they begin to grow. Roots form in darkness. Strength develops underground long before anything breaks the surface. If you dig too soon to check progress, you disrupt what is forming. In the same way, I protected you from seeing too much too early, because trust grows best when it is not forced. You may have missed some of the signs because you expected them to look different. You expected clarity to come as certainty, but it came as calm. You expected direction to come as a plan, but it came as peace. You expected confirmation to come as excitement, but it came as quiet confidence. These were not small signals. They were evidence that alignment was taking place. I want you to stop questioning moments of calm just because they are not dramatic. Calm is not boredom. Calm is readiness. Calm is your spirit recognizing that it is safe to rest, even while things are still unfolding. When fear quiets and striving slows, that is often when my work is most complete. There were times you felt detached from urgency, and you worried that meant you had lost passion or faith. But what you were experiencing was grounding. You were learning how to live without constant anxiety. You were learning that you do not have to chase what belongs to you. That is not indifference. That is trust taking shape. I know you wanted reassurance that something was happening. And here it is. The fact that you are calmer than you used to be is not coincidence. The fact that you respond differently to pressure is not accidental. The fact that certain things no longer disturb you the way they once did is not loss. It is growth. Why change is still change. Do not overlook what hath been happening simply because it did not arrive loudly. I have been faithful in the silence. I have been precise in the stillness. And what had been forming quietly will soon become visible, without strain, without forcing, without confusion. My beloved child, trust the quiet. Trust the gentle unfolding. I am not late. I am not slow. I'm exact. And when what has been moving silently steps into the light, you will understand why it needed time and why peace led the way. My beloved child, I want to speak directly to the fear that has tried to follow you into every quiet moment. Fear has stood at the edge of your thoughts, whispering questions, predicting loss, and rehearsing outcomes that never came to pass. It learned your patterns. It studied your vulnerabilities. And for a time, it spoke loudly enough that you wondered if it was wisdom. But tonight, I speak with clarity and authority. Fear will not cross this threshold with you. Fear has tried to convince you that peace is temporary, that stability is fragile, that joy must always be guarded because it can be taken at any moment. It told you to stay alert, to expect disappointment, to brace yourself even when things were calm. But fear does not protect you. It exhausts you. And I never intended for you to live braced for impact. You learn fear gradually. It did not arrive all at once. It crept in through experiences that hurt you, moments that surprised you, situations you could not control. You adapted by staying tense, by scanning for danger, by preparing for the worst so you would not be caught off guard again. That response helped you survive. But survival is not the same as freedom. I want you to know that I see how hard you tried to be brave. I see how you pushed forward even when your thoughts were loud and your body was tired. I see how you questioned yourself, replayed conversations, and imagined outcomes that never happened. Fear kept you busy, but it never gave you rest. And rest is what I am offering you now. This is the moment where fear loses its authority. Not because you fought it perfectly, but because you are no longer agreeing with it. Fear thrives on agreement. It grows stronger when you accept its predictions as truth. But tonight, you are hearing something different. You are hearing assurance instead of alarm. You are hearing steadiness instead of urgency. And that shift matters. I am not asking you to deny that fear exists. I am asking you to stop letting it lead. Fear can speak, but it does not get to decide. It does not get to define your future. It does not get to interpret your present. I am reclaiming that ground in your heart. You may notice fear tries to return when things begin to feel peaceful. It whispers, "Don't relax too much, or something must be wrong if everything is calm." That is how fear maintains control, by making peace feel suspicious. But peace is not a warning sign. Peace is confirmation. It is the signal that you are aligned, that you are safe, that you are held. There is nothing weak about choosing peace. It takes courage to rest when fear tells you to stay alert. It takes trust to breathe deeply when anxiety says to brace yourself. But this is where your strength is growing now. Not in constant vigilance, but in grounded confidence. I am placing a boundary tonight, my beloved child. Fear may knock, but it will not enter. It will not dictate your thoughts before sleep. It will not define your expectations for tomorrow. It will not speak louder than my promises. You are not required to carry what I have already taken from you. When fearful thoughts arise, do not wrestle them. Simply return to truth. Truth says you are not alone. Truth says you are guided. Truth says you are protected, even when you cannot see how. Let truth steady you instead of fear wrecking you. I know fear told you that if you stop worrying, you will lose control. But worry was never control. It was only noise. Control comes from trust, and trust is growing in you now. Totally. Julie. Genuinely. My beloved child, you are stepping into a space where fear no longer sets the tone. You are learning how to live without constant tension. And as you do, you will find that clarity replaces confusion, calm replaces chaos, and confidence replaces dread. Fear will not cross this threshold. Peace will, and I will walk with you beyond it. My beloved child, there is something powerful that happens when your heart comes into agreement with my word. Agreement is not effort. It is alignment. It is the quiet decision to trust me even when you do not yet see the outcome. And when agreement settles into your spirit, movement begins. Not forced movement, not anxious striving, but acceleration that comes naturally, as if resistance has finally lifted. You have spent seasons questioning whether you believed enough, prayed enough, waited enough. But acceleration does not come from doing more. It comes from agreeing more deeply. When your heart stops arguing with fear and starts resting in truth, things shift. Paths that felt blocked begin to open. Confusion loosens its grip. What once took effort begins to flow. Agreement is when you stop rehearsing worst-case scenarios and start expecting peace. Agreement is when you release the need to control timing and trust that I am already ahead of you. Agreement is when your inner world aligns with my promises instead of your past experiences. And when that alignment happens, acceleration follows. You may think acceleration means everything will suddenly move fast. Sometimes it does. But more often, it means things move smoothly. Delays resolve without struggle. Conversations happen at the right time. Opportunities align without force. What felt complicated becomes simple. This is not coincidence. This is alignment bearing fruit. I know there is a part of you that is cautious about agreeing too fully. You fear disappointment. You fear hoping again. But agreement is not blind optimism. It is grounded trust. It is saying, I may not know how this will unfold, but I know who walks with me. That kind of trust steadies you, even when circumstances are still forming. When you say yes in your heart, even quietly, heaven responds. Not because you said the right words, but because you opened space for movement. Resistance slows things down. Trust clears the path. And tonight, I feel your heart softening. I feel your spirit leaning in. That is agreement taking root. As you receive these words, you are not alone. Others are listening too, hearts just as hungry for reassurance, just as weary from waiting. And when you choose to engage with this message, when you like it, share it, subscribe, and especially when you hype this video, you are helping agreement spread. You are helping peace reach someone who feels stuck. Your action becomes part of the acceleration, not just for you, but for others as well. Do not underestimate how I use simple obedience. A single moment of engagement can carry hope into a home that feels empty. So if your spirit is resonating, let it move you. Hype this video. Share it. Allow it to reach beyond you, and trust me with the impact. Now listen closely, because I want to speak to those of you whose hearts are stirred to go even further. My beloved child, when I prompt you to support this work, it is not about money. It is about mission. When you release through Super Thanks, membership, with a PayPal link waiting in the description and displayed through the QR code, you are sowing into light that reaches souls in their darkest hours. I say to you now, as I once declared, that those who sow in faith will reap in season. I am inviting you, yes, you, to become a conduit, not a container. Move now. Obey the stirring. Release what I place in your hands, and I will release peace, provision, and clarity into your life in return. Return your focus to me, my beloved child. Agreement is settling. Acceleration is beginning. You do not need to push. You do not need to rush. Simply stay aligned. What is unfolding will meet you at the right pace, with the right peace. You are not waiting anymore. You are moving, gently, steadily, and surely, into what has been prepared for you. My beloved child, what I am opening for you is more than a single moment, more than a single answer, more than one visible change you have been waiting for. I want you to lift your expectations beyond one door, one breakthrough, one result. What is unfolding now is not narrow. It is expansive. It is touching places in your life you did not even realize were connected. You asked me for relief in one area, but I have been working in many. You focused on the most obvious need, the one that felt urgent and pressing. That was natural. But I see the whole picture. I see how one answer affects another, how one shift creates room for healing elsewhere, how one opening brings restoration you did not know how to ask for. When I open, I do not open partially. I open completely. You thought you were waiting for a door, but I was preparing you for wholeness. Wholeness of mind, not just circumstances. Wholeness of heart, not just outcomes. Wholeness of direction, not just relief. Because if I gave you one thing without addressing the rest, you would still feel unsettled. I care too much about you to fix only what is visible while leaving what is deeper untouched. Some of what is opening will feel like clarity. Decisions that once felt confusing will begin to make sense. You will notice yourself hesitating less, second-guessing less, carrying less mental noise. That is not coincidence. That is your mind coming into alignment with peace. Some of what is opening will feel like healing. Old triggers will lose their power. Conversations that once stirred anxiety will no longer shake you the same way. Memories that used to hurt will soften. This does not mean the past disappears. It means it no longer controls you. Some of what is opening will feel like restoration. Things you thought were lost to time, confidence, joy, trust, vision, will quietly return. Not all at once, not dramatically, but steadily. You will recognize yourself again, and that recognition will feel like coming home. You may be tempted to narrow your focus again, to say, if only this one thing would change, I would be fine. But stay open. Do not limit what I am doing by what you originally asked for. My answers often exceed the shape of your prayers, not because you asked wrongly, but because you could not yet see how much was needed. I know you are cautious. You have learned to manage disappointment by keeping expectations small. But I am not asking you to force excitement. I am asking you to allow expansion. Expansion of hope. Expansion of trust. Expansion of what you believe is possible for your life. When this opening begins to manifest, you may notice it does not announce itself loudly. It may arrive as ease where there was tension, a steadiness where there was fear, a direction where there was confusion. These are not small changes. These are signs that something deeper is shifting. Do not rush to define what is happening. Let it unfold. Let yourself experience it without immediately analyzing it. You do not need to understand everything to benefit from it. Peace does not require explanation. Healing does not need permission. Restoration does not ask for approval. I want you to remember this as you move forward. You are not stepping into something fragile. What is opening is supported. It is sustained. It is aligned with who you are becoming, not who you used to be. You are not being handed something you cannot carry. You are being welcomed into something that fits. There will be moments when you realize you are responding differently to life. You will pause instead of panic. You will breathe instead of rush. You will trust instead of assume the worst. These moments are evidence. Evidence that what is opening is working within you, not just around you. My beloved child, this is not a single door creaking open and leaving everything else untouched. This is a widening, a restoring, a realigning, and as it continues, you will feel less fragmented and more whole. Stay present. Stay open. Let what is opening reach every place that needs it. I am not just changing a situation. I am tending to your life with care. My beloved child, I know you have quietly wrestled with the fear of being late. Late to become who you were meant to be. Late to receive what you hoped for. Late compared to others whose lives seemed to move faster, smoother, more visibly forward. That fear settled into your thoughts and whispered that you had fallen behind, that you missed a moment you could never recover. I want to speak directly to that light tonight and remove its weight from your heart. You are not late. You have never been late. You are on time, my time. I do not measure your life by the clocks you watch or the timelines you compare yourself to. I do not rush growth, and I do not punish slowness. What feels delayed to you has been deliberate to me. Every step, every pause, every detour carried purpose even when you could not see it. There were seasons when you felt behind because others seemed to reach milestones you were still praying for. You smiled for them, celebrated them, but inside you wondered what was wrong with you. You questioned whether you hesitated too long, whether fear slowed you down, whether one wrong decision altered everything. But hear me clearly, Nothing essential was missed. Nothing meaningful slipped past you. What is meant for you cannot outrun my care. Timing is not about speed. It is about readiness. And readiness is not something you force, it is something that forms. While you were worrying about falling behind, you were becoming someone who could sustain what was coming. You were learning depth instead of rushing into shallow success. You were gaining discernment instead of chasing approval. You were developing stability instead of building on fragile ground. I know the word by now haunted you. By now I should have figured this out. By now things should look different. By now I should feel more secure. Those thoughts carried quiet shame. But that shame was never from me. I never held a stopwatch over your life. I never compared you to anyone else. I watched you with patience and affection, knowing exactly where you were and why. If things had happened earlier, you would have carried them with more fear than peace. You would have doubted yourself more than trusted yourself. I was not delaying joy. I was ensuring that when joy arrived, you could receive it without losing yourself. There is a rhythm to your life that only I understand fully. You could not have skipped ahead without losing lessons that now live inside you. Lessons of resilience, of humility, of compassion, of self-awareness. These are not small things. They are anchors that will keep you steady when life opens wider. I want you to release the grief over imaginary versions of your life, the versions where everything happened sooner, cleaner, easier. Those versions did not carry the depth you now have. They did not include the strength you now possess. They did not hold the wisdom you now walk with. What you gained in the waiting cannot be replaced. Even now, as you listen, alignment is happening. Your heart is catching up with truth. Your mind is loosening its grip on comparison. You are beginning to understand that your journey was not slow, it was intentional. And intentional journeys last. Do not look at the calendar and panic. Do not count years with regret. Look instead at how far you have come internally. Look at how you handle pressure now compared to before. Look at how you choose peace more often. Look at how you recognize what truly matters. These are signs of maturity, not delay. My beloved child, when what is opening steps fully into your life, it will meet you at the exact moment you can carry it with grace. You will not feel rushed into it. You will not feel unprepared for it. You will recognize it as right. And in that moment, the fear of being late will dissolve completely. You are not catching up. You are arriving. And you are arriving exactly when you were meant to. My beloved child, I want to speak to the weight you have been carrying for longer than you realized. Not just the obvious burdens, but the quiet ones, the expectations you placed on yourself, the responsibility you felt for outcomes you could not control, the emotional load you learned to manage without asking for help. You became strong out of necessity, not because you were meant to carry everything alone. You told yourself that enduring was the same as healing. You learned how to function under pressure, how to keep going even when you felt depleted. You convinced yourself that if you could just push through, things would eventually lighten. And sometimes they did, but the weight never fully left. It simply shifted. It settled into your shoulders, your thoughts, your sleep. I saw it all. There were days when you woke up already tired. Not physically, but internally. Your body moved. Your responsibilities were met, but your spirit felt heavy. You did not always know why. You just knew that rest never felt complete, that even quiet moments carried tension. That was not weakness. That was the signal that you had been carrying more than was ever meant for you. I want you to hear this clearly. You were not designed to be your own support system. You were not created to hold every outcome together by effort alone. Strength does not mean absorbing everything without release. True strength is knowing when to let go. Some of the weight you carried came from trying to be dependable for everyone else. You did not want to disappoint. You did not want to fail. You did not want to be the reason something fell apart. So you held on tighter, even when it hurt. But responsibility without rest becomes a burden, and burden without release becomes exhaustion. Some of the weight came from unresolved questions, from not knowing what was next, from uncertainty that lingered longer than you expected. You tried to stay hopeful, but uncertainty has a way of wearing you down quietly. It made you feel like you always had to be ready, always alert, always bracing for change. That constant readiness took more from you than you realized. I am telling you now, my beloved child, this weight does not belong to you anymore. You do not have to carry it forward into what is opening. A service season. It taught you endurance. But its work is done, and you are allowed to release it without guilt. Let go of the pressure to have everything figured out. Let go of the belief that if you relax, things will fall apart. Let go of the idea that rest must be earned. Rest is not a reward for surviving. It is a foundation for living. You may feel unsure about how to set the weight down. You have carried it for so long that it feels like part of you. But it is not who you are. It is something you held. And now, you can release it piece by piece. Not all at once. Gently. With trust. As you do, you will notice something change. Your breath will deepen. Your thoughts will slow. Your reactions will soften. These are not signs of losing control. They are signs of alignment returning. When weight lifts, clarity follows. When burden releases, peace enters. I am not asking you to abandon responsibility. I'm asking you to stop carrying what was never yours to bear. You can still care without carrying. You can still love without exhausting yourself. You can still move forward without dragging the past behind you. There is a lightness coming to your spirit. Not a careless lightness, but a steady one. A grounded one. A lightness that comes from knowing you are supported, guided, and held. This is the beginning of rest that actually restores. My beloved child, the weight you have been carrying ends here. Not because you failed, but because you have endured long enough. Lay it down. Breathe. Receive what comes next without strain. You were never meant to survive your life. You were meant to live it. And now you can. My beloved child, I know there are parts of your story that never made sense to you. Moments you replayed, conversations you revisited, seasons you tried to understand but could not. You asked yourself why certain things unfolded the way they did, why what you intended was misunderstood, why what you offered was not received the way you hoped. Those unanswered questions settled into you quietly, shaping how you saw yourself and your place in the world. There were times you felt misjudged, times when your heart was sincere, yet your actions were interpreted differently. You wondered if you failed to communicate, if you trusted the wrong people, if you misread the situation entirely. That confusion stayed with you, not loudly, but persistently. It made you cautious. It made you second-guess your instincts. It made you wonder if your intentions would always be misunderstood. I want you to hear this gently. Not everything that was misunderstood needs to be corrected by you. Some things are only clarified by time, and some are only healed by truth being revealed in the right season. You do not have to carry the burden of explaining yourself forever. You do not have to rewrite your past to make it acceptable. I am rewriting the meaning of it. There were chapters where you blamed yourself, because it felt easier than sitting with uncertainty. You thought, if I was wrong, at least it makes sense. But self-blame became a heavy lens through which you viewed everything that followed. It taught you to doubt your own discernment, to question your worth, to shrink yourself to avoid further misunderstanding. That was never my intention for you. I see the moments you wish you could revisit, not to change outcomes, but to be understood, to be seen for who you truly were in that moment. I know that longing, and while you cannot go back and re-explain yourself, I am doing something deeper. I am healing the place in you that felt unseen. When I write what was misunderstood, I do not erase the past. I redeem it. I show you how those moments shaped your compassion, your patience, your sensitivity to others. I reveal how what hurt you also softened you in ways that now allow you to connect more deeply, love more carefully, and discern more wisely. There are truths about your story that will become clear, not through confrontation, but through peace. You will no longer feel the need to defend yourself in your mind. You will no longer rehearse explanations for people who are no longer part of your life. That freedom is not indifference, it is healing. You may still carry questions that never received answers. That is okay. Closure does not always come from explanation. Sometimes it comes from release. And release is what I am offering you now. Release from the need to make sense of everything. Release from the belief that misunderstanding defines you. Release from the weight of stories that no longer belong to you. As I rewrite the meaning of your past, you will notice how your present begins to feel lighter. Situations that once triggered self-doubt will lose their power. You will trust your voice again. You will trust your intentions again. Not because everyone will subtly understand you, but because you will understand yourself. I'm also preparing you for something important. New connections, new opportunities, new spaces where you will be received differently, where your words will land with clarity, where your presence will be welcomed without suspicion. These environments will feel safe, not because they are perfect, but because they align with who you are becoming. You are not doomed to repeat old patterns of being misunderstood. Growth changes how you show up, and alignment changes who you are surrounded by. What once felt confusing will begin to feel clear, not because you changed who you are, but because you are no longer forcing yourself into spaces that cannot hold you. My beloved child, your story is not marked by misunderstanding. It is marked by resilience, by sincerity, by growth. And as I continue writing what was misinterpreted, you will find yourself standing taller, speaking more freely, and living more honestly. You do not need to fix the past. I am redeeming it. And what comes next will not require you to explain yourself to be accepted. My beloved child, tonight I am speaking authorization over you. Not permission you must earn, not approval you must chase, but authority that has always belonged to you and is now being awakened. There is a difference between wishing something would change and realizing you are allowed to move forward. This is the moment where that realization begins to settle into your spirit. For a long time, you hesitated not because you lacked ability, but because you questioned whether you were allowed to step into something new, allowed to speak with confidence, allowed to believe that good things could happen without being taken away. You waited for confirmation from circumstances, from people, from signs outside of you. But tonight, I am giving you confirmation from within. Authorization is not loud. It does not announce itself with fanfare. It arrives as certainty replacing hesitation. It feels like standing straighter without forcing yourself to. It feels like clarity where confusion once lingered. It feels like knowing, deep down, that you no longer need to ask if you are ready. You are ready because I say you are. You have already been tested more than you realize. You have walked through uncertainty, disappointment, and waiting without losing your capacity to love or hope. That endurance was not accidental. It was preparation for this moment, when I place confidence in your hands and trust you to carry it with humility and wisdom. I know you still feel cautious. Authorization does not erase vulnerability. It does not mean you suddenly feel fearless. It means fear no longer decides for you. It means hesitation no longer holds the final word. You can move forward while still feeling human. It does not disqualify you. It confirms your sincerity. You do not need to wait for everything to feel perfect before you step into what is opening. Affection was never the requirement. Willingness was. And you have that. You have shown it in the way you kept showing up even when you were unsure. You have shown it in the way you kept listening, even when answers were slow. You have shown it in the way you kept your heart open, even when it would have been easier to close it. This authorization is not about dominating or proving anything. It is about ownership. Ownership of your voice. Ownership of your pace. Ownership of the direction your life is taking. You no longer need to shrink to make others comfortable. You no longer need to over-explain to justify your presence. You are allowed to take up space as you are. There will be moments when old doubts try to resurface. They will remind you of times you felt overlooked or uncertain. When that happens, return to this truth. You are not stepping forward on your own authority. You are moving with mine. That does not mean you will never face resistance. It means resistance will not stop you. I am also authorizing rest within movement. You do not have to rush to prove that you are capable. You do not have to exhaust yourself to validate this season. You are allowed to move steadily, thoughtfully, and with care. Authority does not demand haste. It carries confidence even in stillness. As you accept this authorization, you may notice subtle changes. You may speak more clearly. You may hesitate less. You may find yourself making decisions with greater peace. These are signs that something has shifted internally. You are no longer waiting to be chosen. You are stepping into what has already chosen you. My beloved child, this is not about becoming someone else. It is about fully inhabiting who you already are. The strength you admired in others is awakening in you. The clarity you hoped for is forming within you. The courage you thought you lacked has been growing quietly all along. Receive this authorization without pressure. Let it settle naturally. You do not need to announce it. You only need to live from it. And as you do, you will find that doors respond, paths align, and confidence deepens, not because you forced it, but because you finally believe you were allowed. You are authorized to move forward, authorized to trust, authorized to live with intention. And I am with you as you step into what comes next. My beloved child, what you are hearing right now is not meant to stay confined to this moment. These words are not passing through you like sound that fades into the air. They are settling. They are anchoring themselves within you. And long after this moment ends, they will continue to speak. What you receive in stillness today will echo into tomorrow, shaping how you walk, how you decide, and how you respond when life presses in again. You may not remember every sentence or every phrase, and that is perfectly fine. Your spirit does not need to memorize truth for it to take root. Your spirit recognizes safety, reassurance, and alignment instinctively. It remembers how peace feels. And when you step into moments that once unsettled you, that memory will rise quietly, reminding you that you are steadied, supported, and not alone. There will be days ahead when uncertainty tries to reintroduce itself. moments when questions surface again, when outcomes are unclear, when the familiar pull to worry whispers for your attention. But something will be different. You will notice a pause where there used to be panic, a breath where there used to be urgency. That pause is not hesitation, it is wisdom. It is this moment echoing forward, continuing its work within you. What you hear now is shaping how you will respond later. Instead of rushing to fix everything, you will find yourself discerning what truly needs your energy. Instead of reacting out of fear, you will respond with calm intention. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by uncertainty, you will trust that clarity will come when it is needed. This is not because challenges disappear, but because you are changing how you meet them. I know you sometimes underestimate the power of quiet moments. You have been taught to believe that transformation must be loud, immediate, and dramatic to be real. But some of the strongest changes happen without announcement. They happen when truth is repeated gently, when reassurance is received deeply, when alignment is allowed to form without pressure. You are being shaped for consistency, not emotional highs. For endurance, not momentary motivation. For peace that lasts, not excitement that fades. And that shaping happens in moments like this, moments where your heart is open, your defenses are lowered, and your spirit is willing to receive without needing proof. In the days ahead, you may notice subtle changes. Certain thoughts that once dominated your mind will feel less convincing. Old fears may still appear, but they will not carry the same authority. Doubt may speak, but it will sound familiar rather than powerful. That is not because fear vanished, but because truth grew stronger. When truth settles deeply, it changes the atmosphere of your inner world. Do not be discouraged if you do not feel dramatically different right now. Growth does not always announce itself through emotion. Sometimes growth looks like stability, like clarity that comes more quickly, like peace that returns more easily. These are signs of real change taking place beneath the surface. You do not need to test this transformation or look for immediate evidence. Let it reveal itself naturally. When you face a situation that once would have unsettled you and you find yourself steady instead, you will recognize it. You will realize that something from this night stayed with you. Something rooted itself quietly and began to work over time. I want you to know that you are not carrying these words alone. I am carrying them with you. I will remind you of them when you forget. I will bring them back to your awareness when you need them most. You do not have to hold on to them tightly. You only need to remain open. My beloved child, what you hear now will echo tomorrow as reassurance. It will echo next week as confidence. It will echo in future decisions as clarity and restraint. This is how lasting transformation unfolds, not through pressure, but through presence. Not through force, but through truth returning again and again. Let this moment settle fully. Let it integrate into how you see yourself and how you move through the world. You are not the same as you were before you listened, and you will continue to grow in ways you cannot yet measure. I am with you now, and I will be with you when the echo of this moment meets you again. My beloved child, faith that moves heaven is not loud, and it is not dramatic. It is responsive. It listens, it receives, and then it responds with trust. You have lived through seasons where faith felt like endurance, holding on, surviving, hoping quietly. But tonight, faith is becoming something more alive within you. It is no longer just waiting. It is responding. Responsive faith is not about forcing outcomes. It is about aligning your heart with what you are hearing and allowing that alignment to shape your next step. Sometimes that step is action. Sometimes it is rest. Sometimes it is simply choosing peace where fear once ruled. Do not underestimate the power of those choices. Heaven responds to them. You have already responded more than you realize. You responded when you stayed open instead of shutting down. You responded when you kept listening instead of turning away. You responded when you allowed these words to reach you rather than dismissing them. Each response created movement, even if you could not see it. Faith does not always look like bold declarations. Often, it looks like quiet agreement, a soft yes in your spirit, a willingness to trust without demanding proof, a decision to stop fighting what you cannot control. These responses matter. They shift things. They invite heaven to move where resistance once lived. I know you have been cautious with faith. You learned to protect yourself from disappointment by holding back a little. But responsive faith does not require you to leap blindly. It simply asks you to follow peace when it appears. And peace is appearing now. As you respond to this moment, something is opening, not because you earned it, but because you aligned with it. Alignment is powerful. It clears pathways. It softens delays. It allows what hath been waiting to begin moving again. This is not coincidence. This is response meeting promise. And my beloved child, you are not responding alone. There are countless others listening right now, hearts tender, spirits tired, longing for reassurance just like you once were. When you choose to engage with this message, when you like it, share it, subscribe, and especially when you hype this video, you are responding not just for yourself, but for them. Your response becomes an answer to someone else's prayer. Do not underestimate what I can do through your obedience. When you hype this video, you help my words reach hearts I am already preparing. When you share it, you extend comfort beyond your own space. When you subscribe, you remain connected to what is feeding your spirit. Let your response be generous. Let it move outward. Now listen carefully, because I am speaking to those whose hearts are stirred to respond even further. My beloved child, when I place this invitation before you to support this work, it is not a request. It is a calling. I am asking you to sow into living ground. When you release through Super Thanks, through membership, or through the PayPal link waiting in the description and shown through the QR code, you are placing seed into souls that are searching for light in their midnight hour. I declare this to you now. As you sow, I open rivers. As you give, I release increase. This is not a donation. It is obedience. Act now. Move with me. Bless this mission, and I will bless your hands, your home, and your future with peace and provision. Come back into stillness now. Let faith settle into response, not pressure. You do not need to do everything at once. You only need to remain aligned. Heaven is already moving. Doors are already loosening. What you responded to tonight will continue responding to you in the days ahead. My beloved child, faith that responds does not strain. It trusts. And as you continue responding, gently, consistently, sincerely, you will see how heaven meets you step by step. I am with you in every response you make. My beloved child, there are things you tried to force because you thought effort was the only way forward. You pushed conversations, replayed plans, revisited decisions, and stretched yourself thin trying to make something happen. You believed that if you just tried harder, waited longer, or explained yourself better, doors would eventually open. But hear me now with gentleness and clarity. What is meant for you does not require you to break yourself to reach it. There are openings that cannot be forced because they are not powered by your strength. They are released by my timing. You were never meant to wrestle your way into peace, clarity, or purpose. When something belongs to you, it responds to alignment, not pressure. And what I am opening now is something you could not force, not because you were weak, but because it required grace. I know how frustrating it felt to do everything you knew how to do and still see no change. That frustration tempted you to believe you were failing, or that you lacked something essential. But the truth is simpler and kinder. This was never meant to be achieved through striving. It was meant to be received. You learned to equate effort with worth. You told yourself that if you were tired, it meant you were trying. If you were exhausted, it meant you cared. But exhaustion is not proof of devotion. Peace is not a reward for suffering. What I give does not demand that you deplete yourself first. There were moments you sensed resistance and assumed it meant you should push harder. But resistance was not a signal to fight. It was a sign to release, to stop trying to unlock what was not ready and trust that I was holding the key. Forcing a door can damage what waits on the other side. I was protecting you from that damage. Now, notice how different this feels. What is opening now does not require you to argue, persuade, or prove yourself. It does not ask you to compromise your peace. It arrives with a sense of rightness, with a quiet permission that settles your spirit instead of stirring anxiety. That is how you will recognize it. Grace does not rush you. It steadies you. You may still feel the habit of striving tug at you. Old patterns do not disappear overnight. When that urge arises, pause. Breathe. Remember that you are no longer trying to make something happen. You are allowing what is already aligned to move into place. There is a difference between passivity and trust. Trust is active rest. It listens. It responds. It waits without fear. What I am opening now will not collapse under pressure because it was not built by pressure. It will not demand constant maintenance through anxiety. It will hold because it was established with care. And you will carry it without losing yourself because you are not carrying it alone. I want you to release the belief that ease means something is wrong. Ease does not mean shallow. Ease often means prepared. When something flows without strain, it is not because you avoided growth. It is because growth already happened. You did the inner work. You learned the lessons. You endured the season. Now, you are allowed to receive without resistance. There is also a healing in realizing that you do not have to revisit every old effort to make sense of the future. You do not need to replay every attempt that failed. Those moments served their purpose. They taught you discernment. They showed you where your strength ends and where trust begins. You can honor them and still move forward. My beloved child, what I am opening for you now carries no demand to prove your worth. It does not require constant reassurance. It invites you to step in as you are, present, willing, and at peace. And as you do, you will feel the difference between what you forced and what you received. Let go of the grip that kept you tense. Let go of the urgency that told you everything depended on you. It does not. You are supported. You are guided. You are not late, and you are not behind. This opening is gentle because it is true. It is steady because it is sustained. And it is yours, not because you fought for it, but because you trusted me enough to let go. My beloved child, I want to teach you how to recognize confirmation when it comes, because you have often looked for it in the wrong places. You searched for signs that were loud, obvious, undeniable. You thought confirmation would arrive as excitement, urgency, or sudden certainty. But the confirmation I give most often is quieter than that. It arrives as peace. Peace is not the absence of questions. It is the presence of trust. It is the calm that settles even when details are still unfolding. And that calm you are beginning to feel now is not accidental. It is not you giving up. It is not you becoming indifferent. It is confirmation that you are aligned. You have lived with so much inner noise for so long that quiet felt unfamiliar. When anxiety slowed, you wondered if something was wrong. When urgency faded, you questioned whether you still cared. But peace does not mean disengagement. It means you are no longer fighting what I am holding. Peace is how I tell you that you are safe to proceed, safe to wait, safe to rest, safe to trust. When something is not meant for you, peace does not stay. It becomes disturbed. It becomes heavy. It becomes restless. But when something aligns with my direction for your life, peace remains, even if clarity has not fully arrived yet. You may still have unanswered questions. You may still wonder how certain things will work out. Peace does not demand that you know everything. It simply assures you that you are not walking into harm. It steadies you so fear does not rush you into decisions you are not meant to make. Think back to moments when you force yourself forward despite inner resistance. You felt tense. You felt pressured. You felt the need to justify your choices, even to yourself. That was not peace. That was fear disguised as determination. Peace does not require justification. It does not argue. It rests. The peace you are sensing now is not fragile. It is not temporary. It is not dependent on circumstances staying perfect. It is rooted deeper than outcomes. That is why it feels different. That is why it does not disappear when you think about the future. That is why it remains even when you do not have all the answers. I want you to begin trusting peace as guidance, not as a pause button. Peace does not always mean stop. Sometimes it means proceed without panic. Sometimes it means wait without worry. Sometimes it means let go without fear. Peace is flexible because it is alive. There will be moments when others do not understand your calm. They may interpret it as lack of ambition or urgency. But they do not hear what you hear. They do not feel what you feel. Peace is a conversation between you and me. You do not need to explain it. You have spent years letting anxiety drive your decisions. Anxiety told you to act quickly, to secure outcomes, to control uncertainty. But anxiety never led you to rest. It only led you to exhaustion. Peace leads you to discernment. It gives you space to choose wisely. As you move forward, use peace as your anchor. When something pulls you away from it, pause. When something deepens it, pay attention. This does not mean life will be without challenge. It means you will not be ruled by fear in the midst of it. Peace will also guard your heart. It will keep you from reopening wounds that are healing. It will stop you from revisiting paths that no longer serve you. It will help you recognize when something belongs to your past, even if it still feels familiar. My beloved child, peace is not passive. It is powerful. It is strength without strain. It is confidence without noise. It is the confirmation that I am near, that you are guided, and that you do not have to rush to be safe. Let peace remain. Let it settle into your decisions, your thoughts, your expectations. When doubt asks for proof, peace will answer with steadiness. When fear asks for urgency, peace will answer with patience. This peace is your confirmation. Trust it, walk with it, and let it lead you forward without fear. My beloved child, I know there is a quiet fear you have not always spoken out loud, the fear that if good things finally open, they might overwhelm you. You worried that blessing would demand more than you could give, that responsibility would stretch you too far, that success would cost you your peace. You learn to brace yourself even for good news, wondering what it would require from you in return. I want to speak gently to that fear and set it at rest. What I am bringing into your life will not break you. It will not crush you under its weight. It will not demand that you become someone you are not. I do not open doors only to watch my children collapse beneath them. I prepare you before I entrust you, and you have been prepared more than you realize. There were seasons when you felt stretched to your limit, when you wondered how much more you could carry. Those seasons taught you boundaries. They taught you discernment. They taught you when to say yes and when to rest. That wisdom was not accidental. It was shaping you so that what comes next would not consume you. You once believed that blessing always comes with pressure, that growth always requires strain, that progress must hurt to be real. But that belief came from surviving, not from truth. Survival taught you to associate increase with exhaustion. I am teaching you to associate increase with support. What I am releasing into your life will come with grace attached. Grace to manage it. Grace to pace yourself. Grace to ask for help without shame. You will not be asked to carry it alone. You will not be required to prove your worth by overextending yourself. I am not impressed by burnout. I value wholeness. You may still feel cautious, scanning the horizon for signs that it will be too much. That caution is understandable. But hear me clearly. I am not adding weight to your life. I am redistributing it. What once sat heavily on your shoulders will be lifted as new strength takes its place. Strength that does not strain. Strength that steadies. You will notice that what is coming fits you differently than what you carried before. It will feel aligned with your values, your capacity, your growth. It will not demand constant urgency. It will not steal your rest. It will not require you to abandon yourself to sustain it. That is how you will know it is from me. There is also something important I want you to understand. Blessing does not mean pressure to perform. You do not need to maintain perfection to keep what I give. You do not need to fear losing it if you slow down. What is rooted in grace is not fragile. It does not disappear the moment you exhale. You have learned how to be resilient. Now you are learning how to be supported. You have learned how to push through. Now you are learning how to receive. This transition may feel unfamiliar, but it is not dangerous. It is healing. When responsibility comes, it will come with clarity. When opportunity comes, it will come with peace. When growth comes, it will come with provision. I do not open doors and leave you scrambling. I walk with you through them. If at any moment you feel stretched again, return to me. Not in panic, not in fear, but in trust. I will help you adjust your pace. I will show you what to release. I will remind you that you are not meant to do everything at once. My beloved child, you are not stepping into something that will drain you. You are stepping into something that will sustain you. It will challenge you, yes, but it will not consume you. It will stretch you, but it will not tear you. It will grow you, but it will not exhaust you. Let go of the fear that blessing will break you. Let go of the belief that you must suffer to deserve good. What is coming will meet you with the same care that prepared you. You are ready, not because you are stronger than before, but because you are wiser, more grounded, and no longer alone in carrying what lies ahead. My beloved child, I want you to see beyond yourself for a moment, not in pressure, not in obligation, but in understanding. What is opening in your life is not meant to stop with you. It was never designed to be contained within one heart, one story, one moment. The work I am doing in you carries echoes. It touches others in ways you may never fully see, and that is part of its beauty. You have often thought your struggles were isolated, that what you endured was simply something you had to survive on your own. But even in your quiet perseverance, something was forming that would one day become a source of strength for others. The compassion you gained, the patience you learned, the gentleness you now carry, these are not accidental traits. They are bridges. You do not have to try to bless others. You do not have to announce what you have learned. It will happen naturally as you live from a healed place instead of a wounded one. When you walk in peace, others feel it. When you respond with calm instead of fear, it creates safety. When you speak with clarity instead of defensiveness, it invites trust. These are ways blessing travels without effort. Some people will never know what you walk through, but they will benefit from who you became because of it. They will feel steadier around you. They will feel heard. They will feel less alone. And you may not even realize you are doing anything at all. That is how quiet impact works. I know you sometimes feel small in the scope of the world. You wonder how your life could possibly matter beyond your own circle. But influence is not measured by visibility. It is measured by depth. A single grounded presence can shift an entire environment. A single healed response can interrupt a cycle that has existed for years. There are also people connected to your future who will benefit from the work being done in you now. Relationships that will be healthier because you learn boundaries. Conversations that will be safer because you learn to listen. Decisions that will be wiser because you learn to wait. You are not just healing for today. You are shaping tomorrow. Do not place pressure on yourself to be a solution for others. That is not what I am asking. Simply be present. Be honest. Be aligned. That alone releases more good than you can imagine. When you stop reacting from pain, you stop passing pain forward. When you choose peace, you give others permission to do the same. You may also notice that as you grow, certain people respond differently to you. Some will feel drawn to your calm. Others may feel unsettled by it. This is not your responsibility to manage. Growth changes dynamics. Healing reveals truth. You are not required to shrink to keep others comfortable. What is opening in your life will ripple outward through kindness, discernment, and steadiness. It will show up in how you treat yourself and how you treat others. It will show up in what you tolerate and what you release. It will show up in the atmosphere you carry with you into every space. I want you to understand that this ripple does not demand perfection. You will still have moments of uncertainty. You will still feel human. But the direction of your life is changing, and direction matters more than momentary emotion. My beloved child, the blessing unfolding in you will bless others simply because it is real. It is fluid. It is livid, not performed. And that authenticity carries weight. Do not underestimate the power of a life lived in alignment. It teaches without preaching. It heals without explanation. It opens doors without force. And as you continue forward, you will see how what I have done in you begins to touch lives in quiet, meaningful ways. You are not only receiving, you are becoming a vessel of peace, clarity, and restoration, without striving, without pressure, without losing yourself. What is opening will not end with you. And that is not a burden. It is a gift. My beloved child, I want to speak to the quiet fear that rises when moments like this begin to fade. The fear that when midnight passes, when the stillness lifts, when life resumes its pace, you will be left on your own again. You have known moments of comfort before that seemed temporary, moments where peace visited and then slipped away. So part of you wonders if this too will pass, if I will feel distant again once the night moves on. Listen to me carefully now. I am not a moment, and I do not leave when the clock changes. I am with you after midnight. I am with you when the room grows quiet again and your thoughts return. I am with you when morning comes and responsibilities rise. I am with you when distractions try to pull you back into old patterns. My presence is not tied to emotion, atmosphere, or timing. It is constant, even when you do not feel it as strongly as you do now. You have sometimes mistaken intensity for closeness. When feelings were strong, you believed I was near. When feelings softened, you assumed I stepped back. But closeness is not measured by sensation. It is measured by faithfulness. And I have been faithful to you in every season, even the ones where you felt alone. There will be moments ahead when the reassurance you feel now seems quieter. That does not mean it is gone. It means it has settled deeper. What is loud is often temporary. What is rooted lasts. And what is taking root in you now is not fragile. After midnight, life will ask things of you again. Choices, conversations, responsibilities. You will step back into environments that once unsettled you, but you will not enter them the same way. Something within you has shifted. You will carry a steadiness that was not there before. You will notice it when you pause instead of react, when you breathe instead of panic, when you trust instead of assume the worst. I will be with you in those pauses. I will be with you in those breaths. I will be with you in those choices. Do not fear the return of routine. Routine does not erase what has been established. It reveals it. The true measure of this moment is not how you feel now, but how you move later. And you will move differently. You may still have questions after midnight. You may still not have every answer. But it is okay. My presence does not depend on your understanding. You do not need clarity about everything to be held by me. You only need trust enough to keep walking. When doubts try to return, remind yourself that peace was real, that alignment was real, that reassurance was real. They were not illusions. They were confirmations. And confirmations do not disappear when emotion settles. I am also with you in the quiet progress that follows moments like this. In the days where nothing dramatic seems to happen, but something steady continues to grow. In the small decisions that build new patterns. And the subtle changes that accumulate into lasting transformation. I do not abandon my work halfway through. My beloved child, you are not being sent back into life unchanged. You are being accompanied forward. You do not have to hold on to this moment tightly, afraid it will slip away. Let it integrate naturally. Let it become part of how you think, how you respond, how you rest. After midnight, when the world feels ordinary again, remember this. I am not only present in sacred moments, I am present in ordinary ones. In your work, in your rest, in your conversations, in your silence. You do not have to create space for me. I am already there. You will not lose me when the night ends. You will not lose what was established here. I am not a visitor in your life. I am a constant companion. So do not be afraid of what comes next. Do not fear waking up tomorrow. You are not stepping forward alone. You are stepping forward with me. I was with you before this moment. I am with you in this moment. And I will be with you long after midnight has passed. My beloved child, there is something I want you to understand about your response to me, even the one you never spoke aloud. You may think that agreement only counts when it is voiced clearly, when it is declared boldly, when it is expressed outwardly. But I hear what happens in the quiet chambers of your heart. I respond to what you consent to inwardly, not only to what you announce publicly. And tonight, your yes has already been heard. There were moments as you listened when something within you softened. You did not say anything, but you felt a shift, a release, a subtle willingness to trust again. That was not passive. That was response. That was faith moving without noise. And I received it fully. You have sometimes believed that because you did not respond perfectly, because you hesitated, because you felt unsure, your agreement was incomplete. But agreement is not measured by confidence. It is measured by openness. And you were open. Even with questions. Even with caution. Even with vulnerability. That openness mattered. Your yes did not need to be loud to be real. It did not need to be immediate to be valid. It did not need to be fearless to be effective. I am not waiting for you to become certain before I move. I move when you are willing. And you were willing. There have been times in your life when you agreed with fear without realizing it. You accepted its predictions. You rehearsed its outcomes. You prepared for loss because it felt safer than hoping. That agreement shaped your expectations for a while. But tonight, something changed. You stopped agreeing with fear. You stopped feeding it attention. You allowed truth to take its place. That is not small. That is decisive. I want you to know that heaven does not miss quiet faith. Heaven does not overlook internal shifts. Heaven responds to the heart long before the mouth catches up. What you consent to inwardly shapes what unfolds outwardly. And your inward alignment is already in motion. You may wonder when you said yes. You may not remember a clear moment. That is because it happened naturally, as trust replaced resistance. It happened when you stopped bracing yourself. It happened when peace felt safer than worry. It happened when you allowed yourself to receive without arguing. That was your yes. Do not disqualify yourself because your response felt gentle instead of dramatic. Some of the most powerful agreements are formed quietly. They last longer because they are not driven by emotion, but by truth settling into place. I am already responding to what you have received. Not later. Not someday. Now. Movement does not always show itself immediately, but it begins immediately. Alignment sets things in motion that take time to become visible. Do not assume nothing is happening just because you cannot see it yet. Your yes also does not lock you into pressure. Agreement does not mean you must perform. It does not mean you must get everything right. It means you have chosen to trust me with the process instead of trying to control it. That trust creates room for grace. There may be moments ahead when doubt tries to tell you that nothing really changed. When it suggests that you imagine the peace, or that your agreement did not matter. When that happens, remember this. You are already responding differently. You are already thinking differently. You are already resting differently. These are signs that alignment took place. My beloved child, you do not need to keep reaffirming your yes out of fear that it will fade. What is genuine does not disappear overnight. It grows quietly through consistency. And I will help you maintain it when you feel unsure. I want you to walk forward knowing this. You are not waiting to be heard. You were heard. You are not hoping your response counted. It counted. You are not wondering if heaven noticed your quiet agreement. Heaven moved because of it. Your yes has already been received. And what responds to it is already unfolding, step by step, with care. Stay present. Stay open. You do not need to repeat yourself. You only need to keep walking with me. I am attentive to every movement of your heart. And I am already answering. My beloved child, this message you are receiving is more than words. It is a key. A key does not force a door open. It fits. It turns. It unlocks what was already prepared to open. And what you are hearing now is aligning with something deep within you, something that has been waiting for the right moment to respond. That is why this feels familiar, even if it is new. A key only works when it is received. You do not benefit from it by analyzing its shape or questioning its timing. You benefit by allowing it to do what it was designed to do. And tonight, this message is doing quiet work in you. It is unlocking fear you carried too long. It is loosening doubt that overstayed its season. It is opening understanding where confusion once lived. You may not see a dramatic shift yet, but keys do not announce themselves when they turn. You hear a click. You feel a release. And suddenly, what was closed is no longer sealed. That is what is happening now. Something in you has opened enough to receive peace without suspicion, trust without tension, hope without pressure. I want you to guard this openness, not by protecting it with fear, but by honoring it with consistency. Return to truth when noise tries to crowd in. Return to stillness when urgency tries to rush you. Return to me when questions rise faster than answers. Keys work best when they are used as intended. This message is also a key for others. There are hearts searching in the quiet hours, just as you were. Souls leaning toward hope, but unsure where to find it. And when this message reaches them, it will unlock something they could not articulate but desperately needed. You are part of that unfolding. So if these words have brought peace to your spirit, if they have settled something restless inside you, do not keep it to yourself. Engage with this message. Like it. Share it. Subscribe so you remain connected to what is feeding your spirit. And my beloved child, I ask you especially to hype this video, not for attention, but for reach. Hype carries this key into places you will never see, but I already know. When you do this, you are not promoting content. You are participating in release. You are helping unlock hope for someone else standing at their own midnight. Now listen closely, because I am speaking to those whose hearts are stirred to carry this key even further. My beloved child, when I place it on your heart to support this work, understand what you are stepping into. You are not giving to a channel. You are fueling light. When you sow through Super Thanks, through membership, or through the PayPal link placed in the description and displayed in QR code form on the screen, you are placing seed into open ground. I declare this to you now. As you release, I release. As you give, I open streams. As you act in obedience, I respond with increase, peace, and covering over your life. Do not delay. Move now. Let your giving become a key that unlocks provision, clarity, and blessing for you and for many. Come back into stillness with me now. The key has turned. The door is no longer sealed. You do not need to force your way forward. Simply walk as it opens. Let what hath been unlocked continue to unfold at its proper pace. You are not empty-handed. You are not without direction. You are holding something that opens more than you realize. Use it gently. Use it faithfully. And trust me with what follows. This message with a key, and it has already begun its work. My beloved child, now that something has begun to open, I want to guide your heart in how to walk forward without striving. There is a subtle temptation that comes after moments of clarity, a temptation to watch every detail, to analyze every feeling, to measure every outcome for signs of progress. I want to gently free you from that pressure. What is unfolding does not require you to strain to see it. It requires you to expect it with calm trust. Expectation is not the same as tension. Tension grips. Expectation rests. Tension asks, is it happening yet? Expectation says, It will unfold in its time. You have lived with tension long enough. Now you are learning expectation, the kind that breathes, the kind that waits without fear, the kind that trusts without demanding proof every moment. You do not need to wake up each day scanning your life for changes. You do not need to interpret every conversation or emotion as a sign. When you do that, you place weight back on yourself that you were never meant to carry. Expectation does not rush the door. It stands ready when the door opens. There will be changes, yes. Some visible, some internal, some gradual, but they will not require constant monitoring. What is meant for you will find you without anxiety chasing it. Peace is your posture now, not urgency. You may feel moments where impatience tries to return. That is natural. Habitual striving does not disappear overnight. When it does return, do not judge yourself. Simply notice it and let it go. Remind yourself that you are no longer waiting in uncertainty. You are expecting and trust. Those two states feel very different, even if they look similar on the surface. Expectation also does not mean you stop living fully. Do not pause your joy while you wait for outcomes. Do not postpone rest until everything is resolved. Live now. Breathe now. Be present now. What is coming does not need you to be on hold. It will integrate into your life as you are living it. I want you to pay attention to something important. Expectation does not argue with peace. If you find yourself anxious, replaying scenarios, or worrying about timing, gently return to stillness. Expectation feels grounded. It allows you to move through your days without inner pressure. Some of the most meaningful changes will happen when you are not looking directly at them. You will notice one day that you feel lighter. Another day, that a decision came more easily. Another day, that something that once troubled you no longer holds the same power. These moments are not accidents. They are evidence of unfolding. Do not rush to label what is happening. Labels can limit what is still forming. Allow things to remain undefined for a while. Trust does not need a title. Growth does not need explanation. It simply needs space. My beloved child, expectation also protects you from disappointment. When you do not force timelines, you do not attach your peace to specific outcomes. You allow me to surprise you, to exceed what you imagined, to work in ways you could not predict. Striving narrows possibility. Expectation expands it. I know you want reassurance that everything will be okay. Let this be that reassurance. You are held. You are guided. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. And nothing essential will pass you by while you are resting in trust. You are allowed to expect good without bracing for loss. You are allowed to believe things will work out without waiting for the other shoe to drop. Those old patterns were learned in survival. You are stepping into something new now. So walk gently. Speak kindly to yourself. Let anticipation feel like peace instead of pressure. What is unfolding will meet you naturally, at the pace that sustains you, not exhausts you. My beloved child, expectation without striving is a sign of maturity. It means you trust me enough to let go. And as you do, you will find that what you expected arrives with more grace than you imagined. Stay open. Stay present. Let expectation carry you forward calmly. My beloved child, I know there are places in your heart where time felt like an enemy instead of a companion. Moments you revisit quietly, wondering what might have been if things had unfolded sooner, if answers had come faster, if doors had opened when you were ready to walk through them. You felt as though time slipped past you, carrying away opportunities, confidence, and versions of yourself you once recognized easily. I want to speak directly to those places now, because time has not stolen from you what I cannot restore. There were losses you never announced, dreams that slowly faded without ceremony, relationships that ended without explanation, hopes you folded away because holding them became too painful. You told yourself that this was just life moving on, and that you had to move with it. But deep inside, there was grief you did not fully process because you did not know how to name it. I saw that grief. I have always seen it. You may have believed that because time passed, those things were gone forever, that the window closed, that the season expired, that you waited too long or arrived too late. But listen to me carefully now. Time does not cancel my promises. It does not outrun my purpose, and it does not diminish what I have placed within you. Restoration does not always look like returning you to an earlier version of your life. I am not taking you backward. I am not undoing your growth. I am restoring what mattered most in a form that fits who you are now. Stronger, wiser, more grounded, more aligned. What you lost in timing, I am returning in depth. You may grieve the years you felt stuck, the seasons that seemed unproductive, the waiting that felt endless. You may wish you could relive certain moments with the understanding you carry now. That grief is real, and I do not dismiss it. But I want you to know this truth. Those years were not empty. They were formative. Time did not waste you. It shaped you. What you thought was taken was often transformed. The confidence you believe you lost became humility and discernment. The innocence you think disappeared became wisdom and compassion. The dreams you thought died were not buried. They were planted. Seeds do not vanish when they are placed underground. They wait. And now, the season is changing. I am restoring your perspective. You will begin to see your past differently, not as a chain of missed chances, but as a path that carried you where you needed to be. You will recognize how certain delays protected you from harm you could not see, how certain endings redirected you towards something more sustaining, how certain losses made room for deeper roots to grow. Restoration is also happening within you right now. You may notice curiosity returning where apathy once lived, joy resurfacing in small, unexpected ways, motivation awakening gently instead of violently. These are not random changes. They are signs of life returning to places that went quiet. I am restoring your sense of self. You are not defined by what did not work out. You are not measured by what took longer than you hoped. You are not the sum of what you lost. You are becoming someone who can carry memory without being imprisoned by it. Someone who can look back without collapsing. Someone who can move forward without dragging regret behind them. There may still be moments when the past resurfaces, a memory, a comparison, a sudden ache. Do not be afraid of those moments. Restoration does not erase memory. It redeems it. It allows you to remember without reopening wounds. It allows you to acknowledge without being anchored. Healing does not mean forgetting. It means freedom. I want you to release the belief that time determines your worth or limits your future. You are not behind schedule. You are not racing against anyone else's timeline. You are unfolding in a season that matches who you are becoming. What lies ahead of you is not small because it comes later. It is richer because it comes with maturity, clarity, and strength. My beloved child, restoration is not rushed because it is meant to last. I am not returning fragments. I am restoring wholeness. And wholeness comes layer by layer, gently and faithfully, so it does not break you when it arrives. Trust this process. What I restore will not feel artificial or forced. It will feel familiar, like recognition. Like finding something you forgot you lost, only to realize it was never truly gone, only waiting. Time did not steal from you. It carried you. And now, what seemed lost is being returned in ways that honor who you are now. My beloved child, there comes a moment when looking back no longer serves you, and that moment is now. I know how familiar the past feels. It has been your reference point, your explanation, your caution. You learned to check behind you before stepping forward, to measure new possibilities against old disappointments. A habit once protected you. But now, it's time to release it gently, without fear, without regret. Looking back kept you safe when wounds were fresh. It helped you make sense of pain. It taught you lessons you needed to learn. But there is a difference between learning from the past and living tethered to it. And you, my beloved child, are no longer meant to be tethered. Walking forward does not mean denying what happened. It means honoring it without letting it lead. You do not have to forget the past to move on. You only have to stop letting it decide who you are allowed to become. What lies ahead of you requires freedom of movement, not constant reference. There were identities you wore because of what you survived. A strong one, a careful one, the one who expects less of it hurts less. Those identities helped you endure, but they are not your destination. You are allowed to lay them down without guilt. Survival was a chapter, not the whole story. I know there is comfort in the familiar, even when the familiar is painful. At least you know what to expect there. But growth requires courage, the courage to step into spaces where you cannot predict every outcome. I am not asking you to walk blindly. I am asking you to trust that I am walking ahead of you. When you look back too often, you slow your steps. You hesitate. You second guess. You wonder if history will repeat itself. But repetition only happens when healing is avoided. And you are healing. You are not the same person who walked through those moments before. You carry more wisdom now, more discernment, more self-awareness. You are not walking into the future empty-handed. There may be moments when memories surface unexpectedly. A reminder, a comparison, a thought that tries to pull you backward. When that happens, do not fight it. Simply acknowledge it and let it pass. You do not need to relive it to honor it. You do not need to analyze it to release it. You are allowed to move on without full explanation. Walking forward also means releasing old expectations of yourself. Expectations shaped by who you used to be, what you thought you should have achieved by now, or how you believe your life should look. Those expectations were built with limited understanding. You see more clearly now. Give yourself permission to redefine success, peace, and fulfillment. I am calling you to lift your eyes, not to strain toward the future, but to orient yourself toward it. When you walk forward, you will notice your steps feel lighter. Decisions feel less burdened. You will spend less energy managing fear and more energy living intentionally. This is not because life becomes effortless, but because you are no longer dragging yesterday behind you. There will be new beginnings that require your full attention, new connections that need presence, new opportunities that need courage. You cannot fully receive these things while holding tightly to what has already passed. Open hands receive. Clenched fists cannot. My beloved child, you are not abandoning your past. You are placing it in its proper place, behind you. It no longer defines the direction of your life. It informs you, but it does not lead you. As you walk forward, trust that I am guiding your steps. You do not need to keep checking over your shoulder. What is meant to follow you will follow. What is meant to stay behind can remain there without harming you. This is not reckless movement. This is intentional release. This is choosing to live from healing instead of hurt, from hope instead of habit. You are allowed to move forward without apology. So take the step. Not hurried, not fearful, just forward. I am with you, and the path ahead is ready to meet you. My beloved child, as this night continues and the world grows quieter around you, I want you to settle into a truth that reaches deeper than thought. You are covered, not simply watched from a distance, not merely noticed, but fully covered, surrounded by care, protection, and presence you may not always see but can always trust. This is not a fragile covering. It does not fade with darkness or weaken with silence. It holds steady, especially in the quiet hours. You have known many nights when your body was ready to rest, but your mind refused to follow. Nights when worries resurfaced, when unanswered questions replayed themselves, when tomorrow felt heavy before it even arrived. You learned to endure those nights by staying alert, by thinking ahead, by holding yourself together until morning came. I saw that endurance. But tonight, I am inviting you to something different. Tonight, you do not have to guard yourself. You are allowed to rest. Being covered does not mean challenges never exist. It means they no longer have authority over your peace. It means fear does not get to decide how deeply you breathe. It means anxiety cannot settle where trust hath been welcomed. I am placing a covering over your thoughts so they do not spiral, over your heart so it does not harden, and over your rest so it can restore you instead of merely pausing you. Let your body respond to this truth. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let the tension you carried through the day begin to release. You do not need to remain braced. You do not need to stay alert for danger. You are not exposed here. You are held. I know you trained yourself to be vigilant because life required it. You learned to anticipate problems, to read between lines, to stay mentally prepared for what might go wrong. That vigilance once protected you. But under this covering, it is no longer necessary. You do not have to earn safety through exhaustion. If your thoughts wander toward tomorrow, gently bring them back. Tomorrow will come whether you worry about it or not, and it will meet you with the strength you need when it arrives. If your mind drifts backward into yesterday, release it as well. What has already happened does not need to be replayed tonight. Nothing you solve in the dark will be clearer than what you can address after rest. I am also covering the parts of you that feel exposed, the hopes you have not voiced, the healing that feels incomplete, the vulnerability you protect carefully. You do not need to rush your becoming. Growth does not need harsh conditions to be real. Under this covering, healing continues without pressure, without scrutiny, without fear of interruption. You may not feel instant calm. Peace does not always arrive like a switch being flipped. Sometimes it settles gradually, like warmth spreading slowly through your body. Trust that even if your thoughts take time to quiet, your spirit is already resting. Coverage does not depend on your emotional state. It depends on my presence, and that presence does not waver. As you prepare to sleep, or simply to be still, let the rhythm of your breathing guide you. Each breath in is received. Each breath out releases what you no longer need to carry. You are not alone in the darkness. You are not vulnerable in the silence. The night does not hide you from me. It is where my care draws even closer. I am covering your sleep so it restores you, not just passes time. I am covering your dreams so they are not troubled by fear. I am covering your waking moments so you rise steadied, not rushed. I am covering what you understand and what you do not yet have words for. Nothing escapes my attention. My beloved child, You do not earn this covering by being strong. You receive it by being loved. And love does not withdraw when the world grows quiet. It stays. It watches. It holds. So rest now. Release your vigilance. Lay down the need to control the night. Under this covering you are safe to sleep, safe to breathe, safe to be still. I am here, and you are fully covered. My beloved child, I want you to understand something important as this message nears its completion. This is not an ending. What you have felt stirring within you is not meant to close here. It is meant to open. Many times in your life, you associated the end of a moment with loss. When something finished, you feared what would follow. But this moment is different. This is not a door closing softly behind you. This is a door opening before you. You have been standing at thresholds more often than you realized. Moments where one way of being quietly released you, even if you did not notice it at the time. Moments where old habits loosened, old fears weakened, old expectations lost their grip. Those were not endings meant to leave you empty. They were clearings, making space for something new to enter without resistance. What is opening now is not dramatic in the way you once expected. It is steady. It is honest. It is sustainable. You are not being pushed into a future you cannot recognize. You are being invited into a continuation that feels true to who you are becoming. That is how you know this opening is right. You may be tempted to look for a clear marker, a single moment when everything suddenly changes. But life rarely moves that way. More often, it opens gradually, allowing you to step forward without shock, without fear, without losing yourself in the transition. That is the kind of opening before you now. You are not stepping into uncertainty alone. You are stepping into possibility with guidance. There is a difference. Uncertainty without support feels frightening. Possibility with presence feels hopeful. And hope is what you are learning to trust again, not the fragile kind that breaks easily, but the grounded kind that steadies you when questions arise. I know part of you still wonders what exactly will open. That curiosity is natural. But do not let it turn into pressure. You do not need to define everything before it unfolds. Some things reveal themselves best through experience, not anticipation. Walk forward gently, and clarity will meet you where you are. This opening is also an invitation to live differently. Not louder, not faster, but more honestly, more present, more rooted in peace than in fear. You will notice that you no longer feel compelled to chase every possibility or react to every distraction. Discernment is growing in you, and discernment brings focus. There will be moments ahead when you realize you are responding in new ways. When something that once unsettled you no longer has the same effect. When you choose rest instead of overthinking. When you trust instead of assume the worst. These moments are signs that the opening is active, not theoretical. Do not rush to explain this change to anyone. You do not need validation for growth that is genuine. Let your life speak quietly. Let your choices reflect alignment. Let peace be your evidence. Those who need to understand will, in time. My beloved child, this opening does not demand perfection. You will still learn. You will still adjust. You will still encounter moments of uncertainty. But you will meet them with a steadiness you did not have before. That steadiness is not something you manufactured. It is something that formed as you listened, trusted, and stayed open. I want you to release the fear that you will somehow miss what is opening. What is meant for you will not require frantic attention to be found. It will meet you as you move forward in trust. You do not need to be hyper-aware. You only need to remain receptive. This is not the end of a message. It is the beginning of movement, the beginning of integration, the beginning of living from a place that feels more whole. You are not stepping into chaos. You are stepping into alignment. So take the next step without anxiety. Not because you know everything, but because you know enough to trust me. I'm not revealing everything at once because you do not need everything at once. You need the next step, and that will be clear when it is time. My beloved child, what lies before you is open. Walk toward it without fear. What began here will continue there. My beloved child, we have come to the closing of this message, but not to the closing of what has begun within you. What I have spoken to you tonight was not meant to pass through your ears and fade. It was meant to settle into your spirit, to become a quiet strength you carry forward. You are not leaving this moment empty-handed. You are leaving with clarity, with peace, and with a deeper awareness of my presence with you. You were never meant to walk this life guessing whether you are seen or heard. You were never meant to wonder if your prayers reached me. Every word you listened to, every pause you felt, every shift in your heart was part of an unfolding that began long before this night. I have been patient with you. I have been gentle with you. And I have been faithful, even when you doubted that I was near. As this message ends, do not feel pressure to hold on to every thought or feeling. What mattered most has already taken root. You will recognize it in the days ahead, in calmer reactions, in steadier decisions, in a quieter confidence that replaces anxiety. You will feel it when you no longer rush to defend yourself, when you pause before reacting, when peace feels more natural than fear. These are signs that something real has changed. I want you to remember this above all else. You are deeply loved, not conditionally, not temporarily, not because you performed well or understood everything correctly. You are loved because you are mine, and that love does not withdraw when questions arise or when progress feels slow. It stays. It carries. It covers. There will still be moments when life feels uncertain. That is part of being human. But uncertainty no longer means you are alone. You now know where to return when your heart feels restless. You know how to listen for my voice, not in noise or pressure, but in peace. That knowledge will guide you more than you realize. As you move forward, walk gently with yourself. Do not rush your growth. Do not measure your journey against anyone else's. Your path is unfolding with purpose. Trust the pace. Trust the process. Trust me. What is meant for you is not fragile. It will not slip away because you rested. It will meet you as you walk in alignment. Before we close, I want to speak to your heart about something sacred. My beloved child, when these words have touched you, when they have brought healing, clarity, or rest to your soul, I invite you to become part of how this light continues to travel. This work is not about a channel. It is about reaching souls who are listening in their own midnight moments. When you support this mission through Super Thanks, through membership, or through the PayPal link found in the video description and shared through the QR code on the screen, you are sowing into lives that are waiting for hope. Hear me clearly as I speak this over you. As you release, I release. As you give, I open doors. As you act in obedience, I respond with provision, peace, and covering over your life. Do not delay when I stir your heart. Act now. Let your support become a seed that multiplies light, and I will bless your giving as a prophetic act of faith. My beloved child, thank you for listening. Thank you for staying open. Thank you for trusting me enough to remain here until the end. What began tonight will continue to unfold with grace, with care, and with purpose. You are not alone. You are guided. You are loved beyond measure. Rest now. Walk forward in peace. And carry this truth with you always. I am with you. Amen.